Peeps, we are back with another IOM Geek news and rumors video. Now today we're going to do a little bit of IOM Geek speculation about the new Halloween Horror Nights speculation map released online from Horror Night Nightmares on X. They do a great job every year of releasing these speculation maps and they update them. It's all based on rumors and stuff they're seeing online, official released news, that kind of thing. So keep in mind, anything we're going to discuss today is, is an interpretation of a speculation map based on rumors. So whether or not it comes true or not, we have no insider information. We don't know, but based on the speculation map, we certainly do have a number of ideas. But first, let's do a brief reminder on what Halloween Horror Nights is. Halloween Horror Nights is the world's premier Halloween event taking place at Universal destinations and experiences throughout the world. Now, for this series, we are going to focus exclusively on Universal Orlando Resort and the Halloween Horror Nights taking place at Universal Studios Orlando. However, there are also Halloween Horror Nights events in Hollywood, Singapore, and Japan. Halloween Horror Nights features 10 all-new houses inspired by cinematic greats, as well as original stories created by the Universal Entertainment team. It also features 5 scare zones that will feature creatures throughout the park, an energetic live show, food and beverage inspired by this year's haunts, a highly themed Halloween Horror Nights tribute store, and select attractions and rides that are open throughout the event. Okay, so going into talking about the speculation map itself. Like I said, Horror Night Nightmares on X, make sure you're following them. They do these great speculation maps every year. They update them frequently. And, sometimes you can get some easy indication of what houses are going to be released at that year's Halloween Horror Nights event. Now, this year, they did something a little different, and they're using kind of icons, not Halloween Horror Nights icons, but little images on their map to hint at what the houses for this Halloween Horror Nights could be. Now, before we talk about the houses, let's talk about a couple of brief things on the map. One, you can see clearly a hint that they believe that the Death Eaters show will be returning to Diagon Alley, and Halloween Nightmare Fuel will be returning to the Fear Factor Theater. So we're going to talk about the houses in kind of front to back order, clockwise on the map, starting with the first logo on the map, which everyone continues to speculate or believes is indicative of Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America, which was actually a house at Halloween Horror Nights in Hollywood last year. Now, I'm actually pretty excited about that. I think that has a lot of potential, especially in the sound stages where they have some of the most extravagant houses. I have not been to HHN Hollywood ever. I would love to go one year, but haven't been yet. But Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America, was a property that I definitely had an interest in. So it would be great to see that come to HHN Orlando. Next up, we have a little symbol that kind of looks like the Bride of Frankenstein, but has a little movie symbol on the bottom left, which I believe is indicative of the fact that Horror Night Nightmares believes this is an IP property. Now, we've talked about intellectual property houses in previous videos, and it's really just saying that this house is based on a pre-existing property, which could be a movie out in theaters, a licensed property from another company, or even the Universal Monsters, despite being owned by the same company, is considered an intellectual property. Which brings me to this symbol. The symbol here, a lot of people are thinking it could be the return of the Bride of Frankenstein. We had the Bride of Frankenstein Lives a few years ago at Halloween Horror Nights. Some people think it could be indicative of Lisa Frankenstein, the recently released movie. Despite being a cult favorite, I don't believe that that's actually going to be the case. I don't know that it's a property that, was popular enough to make a Halloween Horror Nights house. However, what I actually think it may be is I think this may be a Victoria Frankenstein house. Dr. Victoria Frankenstein was announced as one of the main characters and the main character of one of the rides at Epic Universe when that opens up in 2025. So I think the symbol here may be pointing to establishing the story of Dr. Victoria Frankenstein and give us a little bit of a preview of that character's background leading up to next year's Epic Universe. Third up, we have the Chrysler symbol, which some people think could be Christine. I think most people are bought into the idea that it's actually Ghostbusters. I think we'll see Ghostbusters return to this year's event. Obviously, we had Ghostbusters Frozen Empire released earlier this year. People really love Ghostbusters at Halloween Horror Nights. It's been popular for them in the past. I think we will see a return of the Ghostbusters in that downstage house. The one above it that looks like a little mute button, also based on an intellectual property, I believe, and most others believe, is probably A Quiet Place. That would be my guess, is that we will see A Quiet Place, especially with A Quiet Place Day 1 due out in theaters this year, and the property kind of, being very relevant this year. I would not be surprised to see A Quiet Place featured at Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. Fifth up does not have the little intellectual property symbol, so it's more of an original property, and I think it's a little candy in a wrapper. I think we're going to see the return of Sweet Revenge and Mayor Sweet's candy. In that, no idea what that house would be. I don't know if it's going to be like the Mayor Sweet's Factory or something else, but I have a feeling that may be Sweet Revenge. To the right of that, Unknown Original. Obviously, no real way to speculate on that. All the way on the top right of the map, you'll see a popcorn bucket, which I think, a lot of people are talking that this could potentially be the return of Slaughter Cinema. Very possible. Slaughter Cinema is a funny property that's been very popular for Halloween Horror Nights. They featured the Yeti in multiple houses. They featured those callbacks to that house in multiple houses since HHN33. However, what I'm more hopeful for, and what other fans are speculating it could be, is the return of the Usher in some form or fashion. The Usher was a popular icon character at Halloween Horror Nights 19. We've seen him pop up in multiple years, like the Icons Captured House and other areas. So I'm hopeful that this could see the return of the Usher this year. I've always had an affinity for that character because I think he makes for a really cool, creepy icon. Next up, towards the bottom right of the map, you'll see a symbol of a lantern. A couple of folks really have been speculating on this one. I honestly am not sure what it could be, but it does indicate that they believe it's an intellectual property house. If I had a guess, the lantern would probably be indicative of Insidious. Insidious The Red Door came out recently. It was pretty popular, wrapped up the Insidious saga. Blumhouse certainly has threads and connections to Halloween Horror Nights and Universal Studios. So I think this may be Insidious. Obviously, this one's kind of hard to tell because it's so vague. But that would be my guess. Either Insidious or some other type of Blumhouse property like The Nun, maybe. The last two on the map are original properties, so it's really hard to speculate what they could be. One is kind of like a black and white house. Hard to say what that is, especially if it's not an intellectual property. The last one, Tent 1, kind of indicates maybe some type of a museum scenario. You can kind of see this Egyptian influence and museum in the icon. What I'm hopeful for, but probably wrong about, is that maybe this will be a callback to Tomb of the Ancients from Halloween Horror Nights 26, because I really love that house. I think it was a very popular house. That's where Croco-Lion came from, which is kind of a fun Halloween Horror Nights fan insider thing, and a character in that house. So, I mean, I've always been a fan of Tomb of the Ancients in that property, Egyptian influences in horror. So I'm hopeful that may be, that house may be what they call back to and whatever they're hinting at on this speculation map. So what do you think? Looking at the Halloween Horror Nights speculation map for this year, what are your ideas? What do you think the properties will be featured this year, both intellectual property and original storylines? Leave us a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to speculate with you. And if you like this type of video, we normally don't do comments on speculation maps. We normally wait for officially released news, but we've been enjoying speculating with you recently. So hopefully you're enjoying it as well. Leave us that comment down below. Let us know your thoughts on these types of videos. Give us a thumbs up on this video because it helps us know that you like this kind of content. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell so that you know when we release more Halloween Horror Nights content. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time.